Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here on my channel. For today's video, I'll be casing the creator Nancy May from the Handi Scandi Crafty Ventures. Nancy's YouTube channel recently hit the 500 subscriber milestone mark. In return, she thought this would be a great way to say thank you for taking time out of your days to follow along with her crafty ventures. Now, I'll get to the details a little later in the video, but quickly, I want to mention this is a hashtag driven hop. Now, what that means for you is you're going to simply type in hashtag HandyScandy500 in the YouTube search box above to find all the videos participating in this hop. And you can hop over to Instagram and use that same hashtag to follow along there as well. Now, Nancy asked that we case one of her creations and share that during the video. And before I picked, I watched her videos and I landed on this cutie here. Now, I love the simplicity of the design. It's clean and it's simple. But more than that, while watching the video, you can hear the joy in Nancy's voice while creating with that adorable image from All and Create. And I found that to be very inspiring. Now, for my card, I didn't pick an image that spoke to me on a social level, but I did pick an image that will clearly tell you where I'm at in life. I'm not going to go deep into the details. I mean, does anyone really want to hear how I literally feel like my skin is on fire all the time? I think not. So I'm going to be using the Menopause stamp set and coordinating outline dies from Whimsy Stamps, along with the Simon Says Stamp I Like Small Dot stencil. Now, Nancy did an ink blended background using some of the colors of the rainbow on her card. I'll be following along with the ink blending, but changing the colors up a bit. I take an A2 white card panel, temporarily adhere it to the back side of the stencil using Scotch removable tape. Now, if you're looking for an inexpensive low-tack tape, this is a great option. I'm using Memento dye inks in the colors Love Letter, Tangelo, Dandelion, and Rosebud to do the ink blending for this card. And the reason I picked those colors, I associate that with fire and heat. So I'm going to start applying the ink to the blender brush and then applying it over the stencil onto the card panel with light pressure. Now I leave a little space along the top because I'm going to come in with some pink along that top area in just a second. And then once I add the pink, I'm going to go ahead and work my way down the card panel through the colors that I mentioned earlier. Now, I prefer stenciling with dye inks. I find I have better results. The edges of the design seem crisper, look softer and smoother to me. But I recommend you use your favorite inks, whether that be dye inks, pigments, distress oxides, whatever you have, use that. Once I'm happy with the background, I'll go ahead and place this panel in my MISTI. Now at this point, I left the stencil attached, but I do recommend you go ahead and remove it. I had a little shift in my plans with that, and we are going to need to clean the stencil before we move into adding paste on it, so you can go ahead and remove it at that point. Now, Nancy had the word smile stamped on the right top corner of her card, so I'm going to go with that, but I'm going to use 3 words instead of 1 on my card: hot, flash, and lava. I'm playing around with the placement of the words, just figuring out exactly where I want my image to be before I stamp these words down. Once I decide to go ahead and stamp them, I have them where I want them. I'm using Memento inks in the colors Rhubarb Stalk, Peanut Brittle, and Cantaloupe to stamp the words. These inks are 1 shade darker than the ink blended circle. That helps it give it that tone-on-tone look, and the words pop off of those ink blended areas better. Now, if you're stamping with dye inks, I recommend that you use a stamp positioning tool because you'll probably want to stamp them more than once just to make sure that the word is a nice, solid stamped word. When I'm done with the stamping part of it, I'm going to go ahead, clean the stencil off, place it back over the panel, making sure everything's lined up nicely, and I do have the panel adhered to the stencil on the back side again with that removable tape. Nancy used glitter glaze over her ink blended background. I'm going to approach it a bit differently by using transparent matte texture paste and a glitter duster. So I do approach the application of paste differently than most. If you struggle with applying paste over stencils, I recommend giving this a try because this method never fails me. I always lay down more than I need across the top of the card panel. And this is just like icing a cake. You start with more icing than you need because it's easier to take it away than it is to reapply it multiple times. So you're going to see me lay down a very generous amount of the paste across the top of the panel. I'm using a metal bench scraper for this. I prefer the metal over the plastic. The plastic's soft, it tends to get nicks and dings along the edge of it, leaving lines in your paste when you use it. Again, if that's all you have, then by all means, go ahead and use it. Now, another mistake that I think people make when they're applying gel with a scraper like this is they apply pressure. And you really don't need pressure. What you need is just to glide that scraper over the stencil. You want to hold the scraper at an angle and let it just glide over the stencil, pulling the product into the openings of the stencil. If you need to go back in with more paste, you only want to apply that paste in areas where you need it and only apply a small amount. Again, you'll always start back at the top of the stencil and card panel, angle that scraper, pulling it towards you. No pressure, just gliding it along the top of your stencil. Now, this method works for me anytime I used any type of paste. It gives me perfect foiling results when using transfer gels, and like I mentioned, it never fails me. Now, I carefully place the panel in my splatter box. I'm going to use my Stampers Anonymous glitter duster to apply glitter over this wet paste. Now, once the paste dries, the glitter won't come off. So we'll go ahead, make sure we have all of those ink blended dots covered with that paste, and then we're going to set this aside to let it dry completely while we start coloring the image, and I'm going to give you some details on the giveaway. Now, I've stamped my image onto 80-pound Neenah Avalanche white cardstock using Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to color with my Copic markers. I'm going to keep coloring real simple with this image. It's not a big image. I will have the colors in the description box below. I'm using lights, darks, and midtones on the image to keep it from looking flat. So while I color the image, I'll give you the details on the hop. Hop along, leaving a comment and subscribing at each stop for a chance to win one of several amazing prizes. The winners are randomly picked from the comments left. They are asking that you do become a subscriber to the participating channels as well. Just be sure you check out all the official rules on each video. The hop runs from August 1st at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until August 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing giveaways here on my video, so you'll want to be sure that you check back here August 11th in the video description box. I will also reply to your comment congratulating you, so make sure you've clicked that notification bell so you don't miss out on it. Now, each creator has been asked to pick a random winner from their comments, and that winner will receive the card made during the video. I've put together a little prize pack for the winner of my card, and a second winner will be randomly picked to win a $50 gift certificate to the Whimsy Stamps online shop. This giveaway is not in any way associated or affiliated with YouTube or any other company. LisaMensing.com, that's me, is sponsoring and is solely responsible for the giveaway. Now, you can find how to claim your prize in the description box below, along with the official rules. So now that I have that out of the way, we can move on with the card. Once our ink blended background is completely dry, I ran it through my die cut machine with a round die about the same size as the ink blended circle, because the stencil Nancy used had a void in the stencil and it allowed her to stamp her sentiment in that area. So I just need to create a void so I can stamp my sentiment. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp it. Now I'm going to use scrap cardstock that I have left over from other projects to add to the back of the panel to create dimension on my card. You could use mounting foam or you could just adhere this straight to your card base. I'm using an A2 card base, 4¼ by 5½ inches. And once I'm done adding all the layers that I want, I'll go ahead and use glue to add that to my card base. I did decide to run a piece of black cardstock through the die cut machine with the coordinating outline die. I want to create a little bit of a shadow on the right side of this image. So I just cut off the left side of the image and add the right side with glue to the back of my colored and die cut image. Some mounting foam to the back of her, and then we'll go ahead and add her to the center of the card. And that's going to wrap us up. Be sure to continue hopping along using that hashtag HandiScandy500. Leave a comment, subscribe for a chance to win one of the amazing prizes being given away during this hop. Now, all the products you've seen during this video are linked directly below. As always, please know how much I appreciate you, and until next time, take care.